Hey friends, welcome back to the Peace Lutheran Sermons podcast. Today we're celebrating Pentecost, a day full of fire, wind, and bold Spirit-led speech. But in this sermon, we're also talking about the quieter voice we sometimes miss, the gentle whisper of the Holy Spirit in a noisy world. Pastor Travis even shares a little about how he preaches, using a device to guide him, and how that's a reminder of the Spirit's guidance for all of us. This message is for anyone who's ever felt overwhelmed by the voices around them and just wants to reconnect with the one voice that brings peace, courage, and truth. So wherever you are today, take a breath, tune in, and open your heart to the Spirit who is already with you.
So some of you know that I do something a little unusual when I preach. Since I'm blind and I really want to connect with you when I preach, I use a little device in my ear that reads my sermons to me while I speak. Apparently, it's something that a lot of blind people do who have to give lectures or speeches. I've heard it described like having a teleprompter in your ear, but for me, it's more than just a tool. It's a quiet voice reminding me of where to go next. It helps me remember when I prepared, what matters most, and what I want to say. And it's got me thinking this Pentecost Sunday about the other voices that we hear. We live in a world full of voices. Some of them are loud. Red, red, red. Blue, blue, blue. Green, green, green. Right? This team, that team. The toilet paper goes over, no under. Coke or Pepsi, soda or pop. Pull the car in or back it in. We're bombarded by noise and opinions. Some of them are silly, some are serious. And in the midst of it all, we sometimes struggle to hear the one voice that matters the most, the voice of the Holy Spirit. And that's what today's all about. In John 14, Jesus promises his disciples that even though he's going away, they won't be left alone. He'll send the advocate, the paraclete, the one who comes alongside, the Holy Spirit, to teach them and remind them of everything that he said. In Acts chapter 2, we see that promise fulfilled. A rushing wind, tongues of fire, bold speech, a new understanding. The Spirit comes not with control, but with presence. Not with an agenda, but with power. Jesus tells us the Spirit is like the wind. It blows where it will. And if we're honest, that can be really frustrating because we'd love to direct it and contain it and assign it to our side of the debate, our preference, our tradition. But we can't. The Spirit is not our possession. She is our companion. She might not speak as loudly as the world does, but she's there. Like the voice in my ear, she whispers the truth when we need it the most. She reminds us of what Jesus said. And she guides us in the moment. She helps us see, yes, see, even what the world often overlooks, the presence of God in others. The courageous and the quiet people, the beauty and the difference, the image of Christ in unexpected places. The disciples, filled with the Spirit on Pentecost, didn't suddenly get superpowers. They simply heard clearly what Jesus had already spoken. And with the Spirit's help, they didn't forget a word. So the question is, how do we tune into that voice? How do we hear the Spirit when the volume of the world is turned all the way up? Because let's be honest, life is noisy. We're constantly surrounded by voices trying to tell us who we are, what to think, who's right and who's wrong. Some of it's lighthearted, Team Coke versus Team Pepsi, over, under versus the toilet paper rolls. But some of it is deeper. Politics, opinions, identity, fear, division. All of them compete for our attention, our loyalty, even our hope. And somewhere in the mix is that quiet, persistent voice of the Spirit. Sometimes barely a whisper trying to guide us, comfort us, remind us of who we really are. But in a world full of shouting, it's easy to miss a whisper. And that's what Jesus is promising the disciples in our gospel reading. This is again before Easter, before he's arrested, tried, and crucified. He's preparing his disciples for when he leaves them. But he promises they won't be left alone. The Holy Spirit, whom God will send, will continue to teach them and remind them of everything that Jesus has said, done, and promised. The Holy Spirit's voice isn't like a megaphone. It's more of a quiet, faithful voice for the disciples and for us too. Although that first time in Acts when the Spirit comes upon the believers in such a powerful way, that wasn't so quiet. The Holy Spirit makes a dramatic entrance through wind and fire and speech. But the deeper miracle is in the understanding, the remembering, and the boldness of what the disciples are able to do. They aren't changed into different people, but they become Spirit-filled people. They remember, they knew, and they spoke. Guess what? The Holy Spirit is still doing those things among us even today. We can't control where the Holy Spirit will blow, just like the Holy Spirit couldn't in Acts either. And that isn't a threat. That's actually a really good thing. It's good news. The Spirit shows up in unexpected places and unexpected people. Who would have thought that all those people who were gathered from different countries, tribes, and nationalities would ever hear something so that everyone could understand? No interpreters needed, no sign language, no artificial intelligence translation earbuds. Our challenge as believers and as God's people in the world is to see the Holy Spirit in other people. That can be hard, because seeing and recognizing the Holy Spirit in others takes listening before judging. Because the Holy Spirit comes and blows regardless of where we want or regardless of whom we want to receive the Spirit. The Holy Spirit does the work of helping us see Jesus in the world. And when we are living as God's people who are filled by the Spirit, and the Holy Spirit helps the world see Jesus in us. So here's what I hope that you carry with you this Pentecost day. You don't have to shout above the noise. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to control where the Spirit goes or to who the Spirit chooses. The Holy Spirit is already present, already at work, already whispering in just the way you need to hear. I think again of the book player in my ear, quiet, steady, guiding me word by word. It doesn't make a scene. It doesn't draw attention until it messes up. But it helps me remember what I've prepared. It helps me stay connected. And it helps me trust that I'm not alone when I speak. The Spirit does the same. She brings to mind what Jesus said. She calls courage out of us, even when we're afraid. She opens our eyes to see God in the places we never thought to look. The disciples at Pentecost weren't given new identities. They were given boldness to live into the identity they already had. The Spirit didn't overwrite their lives. She illuminated them. And she still does. In ordinary people, in everyday moments, in believers who are willing to listen and willing to speak. So may the Spirit who whispers truth, who teaches, reminds, and reveals Christ in us, may that same Spirit fill our hearts again, as this morning we sing together, Holy Spirit, Truth Divine.
That's this week's episode of Peace Lutheran Sermons podcast. Don't forget to join us next week for another episode. Thank you for listening.